Marjorie Taylor Greene, another one of our favorites, hopes the Supreme Court has the balance to overturn same-sex marriage rights. Well, Donald Trump made sure of that.
Yeah, very much so. And Marjorie was speaking at an event held by the America First Warehouse. I don't even know what that is.
Is
In
that where they
Rome.
store all their MAGA merchandise?
I guess so. But it was in Ronkonkoma, New York. Now, look, I'm from Oklahoma, and we got some names. That's a new one on me. I'd never heard that one before, so that's fresh. But Marjorie Taylor Greene was asked about Obergefell and Hodges, the 2015 Supreme Court decision that legalized marriage equality. And the questioner asked, as toxic to the culture, just as toxic to the culture was Obergefell's decision that claimed marriage could be between someone other than one man and one woman. He said, as Greene nodded, what are our chances of getting that overturned? And Greene responded with, I think we have a better chance of the Supreme Court on the Supreme Court right now than we had with the Dobbs case and with Roe versus Wade getting overturned. I think we have a better chance there with the balance of the Supreme Court as it stands right now than we do in Congress. So I'm gonna pause right there and deal with that and then go on and continue with what she said. She just made the claim that there's a better chance of getting something done in the Supreme Court than there is in Congress, meaning that there is a better way to influence the law of the land in the Supreme Court than there is by writing laws. Now, this is getting very, very close to judicial legislation, which is something that Republicans have whined about for quite some time, that claiming that Republicans have claimed that Democrats have been using the Supreme Court to legislate from the bench. This is the same thing she's talking about, only she's talking about it from a positive point of view, that if they can keep the Supreme Court moving in the direction that they have been moving, then they can create laws that are better, have a better chance of success than they do in the Congress. But then she continued. Now, we know that the Bible tells us marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman. That's what marriage is. Do I see anything happening legislatively in Congress anytime soon on that issue? I don't. Going back to what I was just talking about, judicial legislation and the idea that if they can continue to press the Supreme Court, she knows that there's not a chance of getting anything written into law that would illegally separate, marriage equality from the rights of people. But I want to go back to this and just hit on this little bitty sticking point for me. The Bible tells us marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman. And a woman. And a woman. And a concubine. And a servant. And a concubine. You see, the funny thing about the Bible talking about marriage is that they do seem to ignore that there were a lot of those individuals who were in a good biblical marriage there were a lot of folks sleeping around together legally and covenantally in one bed.
Interesting take. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene has come out and said essentially that she is just the property of her husband. That females are
not anymore. She's not.
What's that?
So not anymore. She's not.
No.
Husband has said no.
I don't want it. Can I return it? If that's my property, can I return it? Can I? I still got my receipt.
Look, I got this from Otasco. Is there an Otasco left?
Just so much wow.
Yeah.
And the thing is just to remember how they're approaching this sort of legislative agenda through this supposedly non-political body, non-political branch of the government, is to get the Supreme Court to say that the Constitution does not guarantee you a right. And what they're trying to do basically is say that the Constitution doesn't guarantee you any rights, so that
Mhm.
then at the state level they can remove those rights legally. That's
Yeah.
how it's going to be done. So they're going to eschew the responsibility of the federal government entirely and have the Supreme Court say that one, the federal government doesn't have the right to regulate the rights of people, and two, that in the Constitution, if it's not specifically listed as a right, you don't have that right.
Right.
And
Exactly.
then that allows the states to just do whatever they want and erode all human rights except for the ones that they want you to have specifically. And I don't know about y'all, but that sounds like a very scary country that does not sound in any way like America.